Hey everyone, and welcome back. It's been a few weeks since my last video. Sorry about that, but there's a very good reason for my absence. I've been lazy. That and Christmas, I suppose. I decided to take a break, but we're back and ready to bring this list to a conclusion over the next couple of months. That was Tom Morello, he of the baseball cap and high slung guitar. I don't know how he plays like this. With Bulls on Parade and Rage Against the Machine coming in at number 23 on Guitar World Magazine's Top 100 Solos of All Time. Well, that is an interesting solo, to say the least. Now, there have been solos on this list with one note, Cinnamon Girl by Neil Young, solos with just a couple of notes, Smells Like Teen Spirit by Nirvana, and a few solos with lots and lots and lots of notes, like Under a Glass Moon by John Petrucci and Black Star by Yngwie Malmsteen. Now we have a solo with no notes whatsoever. Not a one. One's fingers do not touch the fretboard on this solo. And that's Tom Morello for you, bringing the weird and interesting, as he was always wont to do as a guitarist. This solo is some really great and innovative stuff, and well deserving of its place very high on this list. If for no other reason than its uniqueness and its strangeness. Plus it's iconic as hell to boot in hard rock guitar circles. This one obviously requires a kill switch. I've already done another solo on this list with a kill switch, Paranoid Android by Johnny Greenwood and Radiohead. And as I didn't have a guitar with a kill switch at the time, I improvised one. I pulled the pickguard off and I disconnected one of the pickups from the selector switch, and so I made a kill switch on the selector switch. But that one was pretty light on the kill switch work, and unfortunately wouldn't do for this one because this one is quite intensive. So initially I borrowed my buddy Sean's $3,000 Gibson Les Paul and gave that a shot by turning down the volume on the neck pickup and using the toggle here between the bridge and the dead neck pickup. But after practicing for about a half an hour, the selector switch started spinning around in my hand, and I realized I would probably end up breaking Sean's very expensive guitar if I kept this up. So I figured it's time to install a proper kill switch in one of my guitars. So I've had the switch kicking around in my guitar junk box for a while now, but never really got around to doing it. It was actually pretty easy. I pulled off the pick guard and just soldered a few wires, two wires to the kill switch, drilled a hole in my pick guard, installed the switch, solder one wire to the solder both wires basically to the volume pot, and it worked like a charm as soon as I plugged in. I decided to go with a toggle style kill switch instead of a push button. A push button on a guitar just seems really weird to me. Not really in keeping with the aesthetics of a guitar, I guess, but that's just me. Toggle is a bit more of a guitar type switch. Anyway, kill switch in, I set to work. It's funny, the last solo that I did, Kirk Hammett's Fade to Black, I get into a little bit of discussion about some theory and whatnot, scales and modes and stuff like that. There's no theory in this one. I couldn't talk about theory if I damn well tried. It's palm scratching the strings and basically just hammering on rhythmically with the kill switch, and that's about it. Obviously, Tom's intent here was to mimic a DJ scratching a record, and you know, it did it beautifully. It's not a technique that you would use a whole lot, you know, but I'm going to show you how it's done because it's a pretty cool little technique. Basically, you need a kill switch. You need a wah-wah pedal, and so you're basically you're on your neck pickup, and this is you need a humbucker. You don't need a humbucker, but it works better. But you want like a high output bridge pickup for doing this scratching, and this is these are hot rails in this guitar here. So this, though it looks like a Strat, it's actually 3 humbuckers in this thing. So you're up on your neck pickup, you got your wah on, and then you're coming out of this. And the last one you just let ring, and then you drop down your selector switch down into the bridge position, and then you get into basically just, and in your wah-wah pedal, you're going to crank your wah-wah pedal fully depressed to get as much high end as you can, to get as much like a white noise effect. And then you're into your scratching. Anyway, a lot of fun, and this was a lot of fun to learn this one. You know, when I first started doing it, it was terrible, and but once you get the hang of it, you know, it's really not that hard. You really got to concentrate, not so much on this, but you got to concentrate on the kill switch and getting the good rhythm going with the kill switch, and a lot of fun, and really enjoyed that. Interesting little story about Rage Against the Machine that I came across researching this one. Now, there's nothing funny about 9/11 and what happened on 9/11, but there is kind of a humorous little story with regards to Rage Against the Machine in the aftermath of 9/11. A company called Clear Channel Communications, you may know of them as, they changed their name to iHeartMedia, iHeartRadio. They're a corporation that controls and owns and operates the majority of the radio stations in North America, especially in the United States. In the aftermath of 9/11, they sent out a memorandum called the Clear Channel Memorandum. It's kind of famous now, to all of their radio stations, basically about 158 songs that had questionable lyrics that they probably should not play on the radio in the aftermath of 9/11. Songs like I'm on Fire by Bruce Springsteen, Free Fallin' by Tom Petty, Jump by Van Halen, Knockin' on Heaven's Door, Guns N' Roses and Bob Dylan. You know, makes a bit of sense, those ones, I suppose. And then there are some on there that absolutely made no sense. Walk Like an Egyptian by the Bangles was on the list, I suppose because Egyptians are in the Middle East, I suppose. I don't know. But, you know, lots of artists had one song, some had 2, Metallica had 3 or 4, AC/DC had 4 or 5. Rage Against the Machine, every single last song by Rage Against the Machine was on the list. They basically put a blanket ban on Rage Against the Machine on the Clear Channel Memorandum, sent out to all the radio stations. Do not play any Rage Against the Machine whatsoever, not one song. I find that kind of humorous. I suppose, you know, why? Because they were political or anti-establishment or leftist and revolutionary, or because they made music that made one want to break stuff when one listened to it. But anyway, I found that humorous. You know, the music that they made, the aggressiveness of their music, that's part of the reason why I love them so much. You know, I'm not a fan of rap. I'm not a fan of hip hop. And generally, I don't think that rap and hip hop mix very well, but something about Rage Against the Machine worked for me. The aggressiveness, you know, Zach De La Rocha didn't so much rap as he spit fire, you know, and then over the backdrop of the heavy Rage music, it just really worked. And I loved Rage Against the Machine back in the 90s, still do. Sadly, they were the pioneers who ushered in one of my least favorite genres of metal, nu metal. What worked so well for Rage Against the Machine, in my opinion, didn't really work for anybody else. I could not listen to it. I did not like Linkin Park. I did not like Limp Bizkit or any of those bands. If I heard scratching in my metal, other than that song right there, where he's improvising, didn't want to listen to it. So yeah, nu metal was really not a genre of metal that I really enjoyed. And despite the fact that Rage Against the Machine, I'm a huge fan of, and they were basically the pioneers of it. One of my favorite bands of all time, Faith No More, even dipped their toes into rap metal with their classic Epic. And it's probably the one song of theirs that I can't listen to this day. But thankfully, they never, ever touched upon it again. They did it once, and that's it. And they never rapped again in any of their music going forward. And thankfully, because Angel Dust, their follow-up album, is probably my favorite album of all time. And that's all I got to say about that one. And so we're back. That was number 22. That was Bulls on Parade by Tom Morello and Rage Against the Machine. And so we're going to be back next week. I've already been working on the next solo, and I pretty much got it down. I just got to sit down and record. And hope you guys are all well in your little guitar corner of the world. And we'll see you next time. Ciao.